In Colossians 2:8, we read earlier that how the Lord said that, we should not allow ourselves to be taken captive by the vain philosophies and human traditions. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world and not after Christ. And sad to say, that's exactly what happens today. Many Christians.
Uncle, one thing, just would you say how to now counter it?
Yeah, we'll be coming to that, yes. Another thing that has been pointed out by this author of that book is that the non-Christians are more consistent with their worldview than many Christians. We will never see a Marxist as a creationist. But we can see many creationists as a Marxist. How can that be possible? You cannot be a Christian and a communist. Absolutely impossible. Because communism does not believe in God. Communism does not believe in creation. So how can you be a Christian and communism believes, the ends justifies the means. Communism believes in dialectical materialism. We don't believe in dialectical materialism, if you know what that is. Thesis, antithesis and synthesis. The world progress like that. There is a thesis. Against that antithesis, for example, there is a capitalist, then there will be a lot of workers. The workers unite, they fight against the capitalist, and then comes the synthesis. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis there will be a new union formed. Then that new union will be your thesis. Then it will work against, and another interest, maybe the Badalalis may have a Sangadana or something, or the government may bring in rules and regulations, so it will be the antithesis, then it will bring in a new system. So they believe that thesis, antithesis, synthesis, this keep on going and moving, and that's how the world has come to this point. Everything. That's what dialectical materialism is. So the dialectical materialism is used in everywhere, in theology and religion and everywhere. What we have today in the society is this dialectical materialism. There is no God, nothing. If there is a God, God ഉരുത്തിരിഞ്ഞു വന്ന് പറയും. ദൈവം ഇങ്ങനെ സംഘടനകളിൽ കൂടെ ഉരുത്തിരിഞ്ഞു വന്ന ഒരു ആശയമാണ്. ഇനി ആ ആശയം ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു തീസിസ് ആവും, എന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? ഇങ്ങനെ പോവുകയാണ്. So this is the idea, So Christians believe these things, That's a sad part. There could be, like Paulus, Mar Paulus, and there are, I hate to say names on this program, but there were even some bishops and their main, other, in the main line, some of the denominations who were Marxist. How could they be Marxist? I could never understand. They wanted to, you can never be a Marxist only for economic ideas. No, you just cannot be. Because Marxism does not come in part and parcel, it comes as a whole unit, all these things. So we will never come across any New Age movement who believe in ethical absolutes. Never. You will never come across somebody who is a Nam who say that I believe murder is wrong or adultery is wrong. No, they will not say. Whether murder is wrong or adultery is wrong has to be decided by many factors. They say that we have to kill, you have to commit adultery as the case requires. There's no absolutes. There's no absolutes. So how inconsistent are the Christians when, they subscribe to some of these theories? Why this conflict? Simply because Christian church failed to teach the Christian worldview in churches. This is the reason. They have one economics, they have another system of biology, another system of politics, another system of sociology. Our churches, we need to teach In the children's Sunday school class on, we have to teach consistently a Christian worldview. The adult Sunday school class must have, every Christian, every church member must have a class on the Christian worldview. Sometimes during the church membership. So that our people all will have the right thinking. But which church is teaching it? Which church? We only teach about love and we teach about this and that. They are all necessary. I am not saying they are not necessary. But why all this situation has come? Because we failed. We failed. That's a very fact. We failed. Simply because church failed. They failed to take apart non-Christian worldview also to show our children and our believers how inconsistent and unbiblical they are. We failed on both. We have lost all the power centers of thinking to the NAM. That's a shame. The power centers of thinking are gone after the New Age movement, Colleges and universities and medias are all lost to them. We have the church and the family, at least two Christian institutions, still there, and evangelical churches need to safeguard them. We need to teach our children firmly grounded in the Word of God and firmly grounded in Christian worldview before the young minds are thrown to the ugly vultures in the secular world. We should not allow our young people to go to colleges until they are firmly grounded with a Christian worldview. Parents will send their children to coaching classes, this class, and because they can get admission for medicine or engineering and all. But they do not realize that they are throwing their children to these vultures who are going to brainwash them and make them, advocates and proponents of these pagan, theories. We should not do that. We should not do that. So the question, what are we to do? Number one, we have to go on the offensive. As the author said, light a candle. Light a candle. Because we are the light of the world. Pray, When we say pray, we are not simply saying that we have to pray, fast and pray even for our young people, that they will not be. We have to be very choosy when we send our children to schools, Your choice of a college or university should not be based entirely on the quality of education on the subject. It should be also on the quality of Christian freedom. How much your children will be able to go to Bible studies and Sunday worship meeting and Christian fellowship and all that. If the children are away from all Christian activities for 3, 4, 5 years, what do you expect when they come back? That's terrible, We should provide more opportunity for studying God's Word, I think, honestly, we should challenge our children the option of taking maybe 2 years off from their studies, go to a good Bible institute, or take a correspondence course, whatever may be, I am not recommending any college and Bible schools as such, but send them to somewhere where they can get some good solid education. And then let them continue their studies in the secular world, One of the presidents of Harvard University, not now, and I do not remember his name again, these names I forget, he made a famous statement. He said that a BA degree without a Bible education means nothing, but a Bible education without a BA degree means a lot, he said. If only parents will pay attention to that one. Someone famous as the president of Harvard University to say that a BA degree without a Bible education means nothing. But a BA, a Bible education without a university degree means a whole lot. That's true. That's true. We Christians, we must provide opportunities. The Jewish people and the Muslims, they have opportunity. Muslims have their oath class. From age 2 on, you can see their little children having the prayer cap and go to they are madrasa, then 9 o'clock they come back and go to school. That's true about the Jewish people. They go to their synagogue for early morning teaching. Only after 10, 12 years of Bible teaching, they go to the secular university. Our children, what we do? At the age of 1, before 1, 2 months, 3 months, we hand them over to the crush to crush them. That's what they do. It's terrible. What do they do there? Are they teaching them biblical value? Hindu ladies and Muslim ladies and atheistic ladies and all kinds of ladies taking care of our children, their young age. I'm not against ladies working. I don't think it's a sin to work, but it's a sin to forget, abandon your family, isn't it? It's a sin to abandon your family. Mother is to take care of the child. There are financial strains and situations where both have to work, I understand. But how can you abandon your child to somebody, a non-Christian, and some other people belong to some other worldview? It's terrible. We should not do that. We should not do that. I think we should be little bit sacrificial when it comes to, we should understand that money is not everything. Money is not everything. You can cut short 3 meals into 2 if that will help your wife not going to work. I'm not against wives going to work, but I'm against sacrificing your family and children. Because that's our greatest possession in the world. We don't want to sacrifice that. So we want to rebuild the foundations, the foundations. Yes. One of the psalmists asked the question, if the foundations are shaken, what the righteous will do? What the righteous will do? We want to make sure that the foundations are correct, just like Jesus said that. He said, the wise man builds his house. What is the house he is building? I believe he is building his family. That parable could be understood like that. The wise man spent more time and energy to lay the foundation for the family, even if the superstructure is a small one. The foolish man is the one who will, won't spend money on the foundation. He will spend money on the superstructure, which is education, which is this and that and all. So then what happens? The day comes when there's flood comes up, storm comes up. Who stands? The structure made on the sand is not going to stand. So you want to make sure that you build your family on firm foundation. How much we say to our believers, they won't understand it. They really don't understand it, So take a couple of years for your children. Either you teach at home consistently from they are born until they leave the 12th grade from your home, and for other, you lay the foundation very correctly and indoctrinate them with the worldview and all that. And I think we need to spread the word with courage and conviction, Means the children need to see their parents standing for the truth. That's what I meant. Children want to see their parents standing for the truth. That will take your children a long way. But what our children do? Parents making compromise and compromise and compromise. Their job is more important. There are many other things are more important. When was your child had seen you making a sacrifice for your faith? Or taking, suffering shame for your faith? Or you're proudly confessing the Lord before others? Yes. One of the books that I have read that challenged me a whole lot is by James Kennedy. What if Jesus had never been born? What if Jesus had never been born? That book also recommend that. I had the privilege of reading this book many years, and it really challenged me. It opened my eyes wide, the significance of the birth of Jesus, the life of Jesus. He has penned another book, What If the Bible Had Never Been Written? The same author, James Kennedy. Both books I recommend. I'm sure these books are available on, internet and all that, You get it, or it may be available in OM, I don't know. So, we need to, let me get that book. Lastly, this book gives something. After reading that, I thought I cannot improve what he said on this one. He had done so nice a job with this conclusion. This conclusion part. It's a very nice conclusion this author has done. This, the author David Noble. It's an excellent volume. I recommend. I have used this as a basic structure for my lecture. Conclusion I just want to read. After working our way through a systematic analysis of the 10 major components of worldview, our studied conclusions are that, number 1, in theology, the evidence for the existence of a personal God and holy God, a designed universe, and an earth prepared for human life far outweighs any argument for atheism or pantheism. The evidences for the existence of a personal God far outweighs the argument for atheism or pantheism. We have gone through that. Secondly, in philosophy, the notion that mind or logos precedes matter is far superior to the atheistic stance of matter preceding the mind. See, the atheists always say matter is eternal. Mind came later. Logically it is inconsistent. Logically it is inconsistent. Yes. The rationalist has to come first before the reason comes, right? The evolutionists ask the question always, the question, manga ano, mangandi ano? So I ask them, let me ask you a question. You are a rationalist, yes. And did reason come first or rationalists come first? They are in trouble because if they say reason, where did reason exist? So reason cannot exist independently in the sky or anywhere. It can exist only. So a person has to be, a person with understanding and mind has to come. This super world has to have a super mind, which is God. Who else? So it's more rationally, consistent. In biology, the concept of a living God who creates life fits the evidence better than the notion of spontaneous generation and evolution. It's the biggest lie, spontaneous generation, because the theory of probability. Now, how can you fit in by spontaneous, the Big Bang theory, an explosion? If somebody say that in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what bomb they used, fission bomb or fusion bomb? What was the bomb they used there? Fission bomb, yeah. That's a big bang anyway. So if the fission bomb used there has produced another Japan, how can you? It's only destructive, you cannot. Because creation assumes a creation, creator, a mind. Design needs a designer. So to say that, by accidentally this taken place, and how can you? In psychology, understanding people is as inherently sinful beings in need of a savior far outweighs thinking of them inherently perfect and guilt-free people. Look at the human being, the best person in the world. Is he free of guilt? Is he a perfect human being? Who is a perfect human being in the world? If people will vote for it, who they will vote for? He will definitely be a sinner. There's no question about it. In ethics, the concept that right and wrong are absolutes based on the nature and character of a personal loving just God is far superior both theoretically and practically to any concept of moral relativism. Moral relativism says there is nothing absolute, whether an action is right or wrong depends on. So many. Depends on. Murder is right or wrong depends on. Adultery is right or wrong depends on. But absolutism, the Creator God, absolutely loving, sovereign God said, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. In sociology, the biblical family of father, mother and child transcends any experiments in trial marriages, homosexuality and the like. Now it's there. Russia experimented with doing away with marriage. Oh, they stopped very soon because the Russian streets were with orphans, unwanted babies. Who will take care of them? And children raised up in the orphanages, they never have, a balanced mental image. They always have problems. Even though the orphanage runner, the mother there, maybe the orphanage parents, they have tried to give them the love and the affection they needed. Their mind is never developed like a child's mind is developed. Now homosexuality comes and, these people wanted permission to adopt children. That's when, because they cannot have children. Adopt children. How can they, raise up children they adopt? Which one will be the father? Which one will be the mother? They will be developing only other batch of homosexuals. Nothing more than that. In law, the notion that God hates the perversion of justice is far superior to any theory of legal relativism or positive law, Yes, God hates, violation of law. God hates injustice, so therefore it has to be punished. Again, how can you have legal relativism, You cannot. Whether an action is right or wrong is to be decided by many things related. You killed a person because your mother needed a heart. Well, you love your mother, right? This is an unwanted orphan child, so you decided you will take that child's heart. Whether the child's heart will fit or not is a different issue, No, it cannot be. It cannot be. Thievery, you are stealing only to provide for your family. Does the thievery make a right action before law? No. The person can always go and ask for some food, right? Is thievery? No. Again, in politics, Christians believe that human rights are a gift from God. Protected by government is more logically persuasive, morally appealing, and politically sound than any atheistic theory that maintains human rights are a largesse of the state, It's an allowance of the state. No, it's not a largesse of the state. God created every man a free being, and therefore every person has the freedom that God has given. It's a gift from God, and therefore, he has certain rights and certain responsibilities. In economics, the concept of stewardship of private property and using resources responsibly to glorify God is more noble than the notion of a society in which ownership destroys individual responsibility and work incentive. How terrible is communism, for example? You have no ownership, you have no incentive for work. Government takes your labor, government provides you whatever it decides. No. In history, the veracity of the Bible and its promise of a future kingdom ushered in by Jesus Christ is far more credible than vague utopian global schemes dreamed up by sinful mortal human beings. Yes. So wherever you look in, only the Christian worldview provides any meaning and purpose. You go to any other system, Hinduism doesn't, actually they have a Hindu worldview. What is it? Depend upon your karma, your reincarnations, the chakra theory, So what you do in this life is going to decide what you are going to be in the next life. What a view is that? If you have killed a lot of flies in this world, you're going to be born as a fly in the other world. It's a vain thing, because what happens to the soul and the spirit of man? The fly carries the soul of a man, the spirit of a man, the intellect of a man, the emotion of a man, the conscience of a man. Such absurdity people believe. When they say that the soul of a man is migrated to, transmigration of the soul, migrated to another being. My soul expressing through me in this life, but through that dog? Well, this is nonsense, But people believe all those things. Yes, Yeah. This author gives finally a chart at the last page. It's very nice if you can take a copy of it. If I had time, I remembered God's creative and redemptive order on all these 10 areas. Very, very interesting. Very good. So that, then last there is a section just for the parents, Just for the parents, Well, that's very good advice giving to the parents, how you must start with your children, Yes, this is very good. Those who have children, the question of values, levels of parental concern, spiritual concern, theological concern and intellectual concern, helping children get an early start and all these things. Very well done, very well done. Now that takes care of basically this topic, and if you have some questions, definitely I'll be happy to discuss them, address them.
What I asked, so is it worth trying to change things?
We're trying to change things. Have you never heard this statement made by, I don't know who made this statement, change what you can for good, accept what you cannot change. Who said it? Some famous author said it, Change what you could for good, accept what you cannot change.
I think most of the time we end up accepting that.
No, that is not you end up, that's you begin with. I mean that's because it's easy, right? You trying to change, it's more difficult. So therefore you say that I don't want to change, I'll accept. No, but that's not a solution actually. That's not a solution. Change.
Yeah, what you said. The odds are so...
Yes, it is true. It is true, It's true.
So chance of success...
But the end result is so great. When you change that which is not correct, you are directing, or you are moving to the the right path. Only the right path can take you to the right end. So, it's like some vehicles, it's very difficult to turn the vehicles, it's because the old time it doesn't have power steering, it's, doesn't have the radius of its curving is so big and all that, so it's very difficult. But once you change the direction, you are heading where you want to go. Otherwise, you are keeping going the wrong direction. So it's in everything, If possible, send your children to good schools. If